Coming up on WUFT Midday, after pledging not to do so, President Biden sparred his son from facing jail time. How government officials are reacting. Plus, a local landmark is asking for your help in preserving its legacy, the historic site the community wants to keep. And the $3 million program that Gainesville officials approved last year, how ambassadors will keep the city safe. WUFT Midday starts now.
Watching WUFT Midday.
President Joe Biden has given his son a, quote, full and unconditional pardon. Welcome to WUFT Midday. I'm Emma Pastis. Thanks for joining us. Hunter Biden faced up to 42 years in prison for gun and tax crimes. Now he's likely to remain free. Amy Kiley reports.
Joe Biden's pardon here of his son, in all likelihood, to a virtual certainty, did spare Hunter Biden from having to go to prison.
Hunter Biden is vowing to help others struggling with addiction after receiving a full pardon from his father. President Joe Biden says he changed his mind about clemency for his son because he thinks politics has caused a miscarriage of justice.
We'll never know definitively whether Hunter Biden was given lenient treatment or harsher treatment because of his name, but I can tell you based on my experience, he was certainly given different treatment than an ordinary person.
Hunter Biden is convicted of possessing a firearm while addicted to or using illegal drugs and has pleaded guilty to tax crimes related to money he has since repaid. In total, the charges against him carry a maximum sentence of 42 years in prison.
I think what happened in this case is the pendulum sort of swung from one extreme to the other, and you ended up with an outcome that the president felt necessary to issue a pardon on.
Republicans are blasting the pardon. It's unlikely to go over well with Democrats either. But analysts say the president's overriding motivation wasn't political.
What you're talking about here is, Biden taking a step that is going to be very controversial, even with his own party, to protect his son.
As a father, it was probably pretty difficult not to proceed.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
The pardon covers all potential crimes from roughly the past decade. That span includes Hunter Biden's controversial tenure on the board of an Ukrainian gas company. A $3 million program begins today. Next time you're in downtown Gainesville, you might see some friendly faces sporting bright green vests. Those are the city's new downtown ambassadors. It's part of a program meant to make the city center safer and more welcoming. They'll offer escorts, provide directions and information about businesses and events. Their job description includes managing litter and removing graffiti, plus working with local authorities to support the houseless population. A local piece of history is asking for your help to preserve its legacy. The iconic Matheson House has been in Gainesville since the 1850s. The Matheson History Museum is currently closed, but the museum library and archives are still open during usual hours. Visitors are encouraged to continue exploring the ongoing exhibits. Museum officials are asking the community to donate to contribute to the protection of a local landmark. You can find the link to donate on the Matheson's Museum's website. The power of song is bringing a mother and daughter closer together despite the challenges. WUFT's Juan Chaoui tells us how this family is defying the odds and showing that anyone can sing.
Allison Groh sits at the piano. Her fast fingers dance on the ivory keys. Her daughter Isabel next to her, singing with precision and passion.
Music's been a big part of her life from the very beginning.
It's a special bond any parent hopes to have with their child.
All I did at home was sing to her. She was a really happy, easy kid.
When she's singing, everything is right in the world. But when the music stops,
Number 2.
reality sets in.
There you go.
19-year-old Isabel,
Number 3.
born with partial brain damage, which means everyday tasks, like completing kindergarten-level homework, are a challenge.
Every day is just harder for her than the average person in some ways.
It wasn't easy for Isabel growing up.
She was slow to develop in every possible way that you could name. She was slow to walk, she was slow to sit up, she was slow to babble, she was slow to talk.
But she was quick to sing.
She could say, sing words to songs fluently before she could ever string 2 words together in a speaking voice.
Music came to Isabel as naturally as breathing.
supposed to be.
Allison put her singing savant in Shining Star Music Academy, where she met Katrina Mendez.
First time I met Isabel, she gave me a big old hug, and she was really excited, and it was almost like show and tell. Isabel just wanted to sing all the songs she knew for me and show me all the things that she loved.
Katrina taught Isabel for a short time before Alexia de la Valle, who specializes in opera, took her on as a student.
Being Isabel's teacher is a special job.
She used to go to Isabel's house for lessons before moving to North Carolina after the COVID-19 pandemic.
Zing, zing.
Oh, yes, that was much better.
De la Valle doesn't let distance keep her from her star pupil, though.
She's an incredible musician. Just naturally, her musical ear is fantastic.
And even though she can't form long sentences in English, she sure can carry a tune in French.
She loves learning the sounds of the language because she can mimic it so well. She also sings in German. She sings in Italian.
Lately, Isabel spends every night practicing for her big day, a recital. Allison sits at the piano. Her fast fingers dance on the ivory keys. Her daughter, Isabel, next to her.
Her gift that she brings is she's an occasion for love.
Singing with the same precision and passion.
Yeah.
In Gainesville, Juan Carlos Chaoui, WUFT News.
Gainesville officials activated the cold night shelter program since temperatures may drop below 45 degrees. St. Francis House provides shelter for families, women, and children, while Grace Marketplace will assist individual adults. Shelters will remain open as long as temperatures stay below 45 degrees. 2 Florida deputies are recovering after being injured in an incident on U.S. Highway 1 in Fort Pierce on Saturday night. This accident comes less than 2 weeks after 3 Palm Beach County Sheriff's deputies were killed after being hit by a car on Southern Boulevard. According to Florida Highway Patrol, 2 St. Lucie County deputies and 1 Fort Pierce police officer were standing outside their vehicles conducting a felony stop when 45-year-old Perry Peebles struck the rear of a patrol vehicle. Due to the impact, it struck 2 other law enforcement vehicles and 2 of the officers on duty. Deputy Sheriff Keith Pearson said that all 3 cars had their emergency lights on during the stop. Authorities said Peebles was driving under a suspended license and arrested for 6 counts of DUI with property damage and injury, along with refusal to submit a DUI test. The officers have been released from the hospital. President Biden marked World AIDS Day at the White House on Sunday. He led a ceremony to honor those who have died from the disease. The president delivered his speech with the AIDS memorial quilts displayed behind him across the South Lawn. This is the first time it's been displayed at the White House. The quilt honors the lives lost to AIDS over the years. The president said his administration is still actively working on issues related to HIV and AIDS.
And I'm proud to announce, before the end of my term, the Center for Medical and Medicare and Medicaid Services will update its guidance on HIV care, encouraging states to adopt the best practices using the latest science and technology. It matters. It matters.
On Sunday for a 3-day trip to Angola. It will be his first trip to the African continent during his presidency. Now let's take a look at the traffic. We're looking at I-75 South in Marion County, and it's looking pretty clear heading south on I-75. Now let's head over to UF forecaster Nicole Borman. Nicole, it's going to dip down into the 30s this week.
That's right, Emma. Those temperatures are going to be getting a lot cooler throughout the rest of the week, but we might be seeing some warmer temperatures this weekend. Right now, our lows are in those 30s. We're seeing 31 in Gainesville, 29 in the Bronson, and 33 in Ocala. And we should be seeing this for the next 2 days. But for right now, the temperatures for the rest of the week are going to be a lot cooler, a lot colder. We might be seeing some freezing temperatures tonight, and the air is going to get nice and dry and cool for the rest of our week. Now, but if you take a look outside right now, we're seeing sunny skies right now. We're not seeing a cloud in the sky over Century Tower or over the stadium. Temperatures right now are in those low 60s, and we're seeing a pickup of wind coming in from the northwest, giving us that colder air that we've been feeling, and we're going to be feeling for the rest of the week. So for the rest of your day, you might be seeing those temperatures continue to dip throughout our afternoon. So one sun sets at 5:30 today. We're going to be seeing the temperatures dip into those low 40s and then maybe dip even into those 30s tonight. So be sure to wear a jacket for sure. But this afternoon, we're going to be staying consistently in those 60s for a majority of the time. We're seeing 62 in Gainesville, 65 in Ocala, and we're seeing a lot of those temperatures all over north central Florida. Now, before that is happening because of the wind coming in from the northwest. We're seeing those heavy winds happening, especially right now in Gainesville. We're seeing 22 miles per hour coming in from the northwest, pushing all of that cold air towards us. Now we can see as that high pressure system continues to push through, it's going to be pushing all over Florida, especially today and tomorrow. But then as it passes through us and goes past, we might be seeing some warmer temperatures later on into the weekend, but nothing too high like we have been experiencing a majority of the time earlier in the semester. But you know, right now for tonight, we might be seeing some freezing warnings happening in the affected areas in purple right here, mainly in the central areas. We're seeing temperatures in around the 30s and the 20s, and so yeah, be sure to bundle up tonight for sure. But tomorrow is going to be definitely the coldest day. We're going to be seeing those lows in the 30s. We're seeing a 30 in the Bronson, 33 in Gainesville, 33 in Ocala, and the high should not be getting any higher than around the 50s and the mid 50s, you know, so definitely stay warm for the rest of the day tomorrow, because we could be seeing it a little bit warmer later on, but for right now, definitely pretty cold temperatures, especially since we just got into December. The weekend, we're seeing those temperatures continue to alleviate into the 70s, but for the rest of your week, for your 7-day outlook, we're going to see those staggering temperatures, seeing in those mid 50s, going down up into the 70s, and staying consistent for the rest of the week.
This weekend, port authorities netted a sting operation that must have sounded like music to their ears. Authorities have busted the largest fake instrument scam ever. U.S. Customs agents seized 3,000 counterfeit Gibson electric guitars at the Port of Los Angeles. Officials said the sting was worth over $18 million and that the guitars were likely being set aside to sell to unsuspecting customers. Rates of respiratory illnesses in the U.S. remain low, but low vaccination rates could threaten that. WUFT's Olivia Logan tells us what experts are concerned about this flu season.
Health experts will be keeping an eye on all virus activity levels in the coming weeks. They say respiratory illnesses tend to increase during the holiday season as people gather with their loved ones inside. Recent CDC data shows levels of COVID-19 are nearly the lowest they've been since the start of the pandemic, and hospital visits for the flu and RSV are also low, but they are starting to rise. The CDC says vaccination will be key in preventing hospitalizations from the diseases. The agency says the vaccination rates for COVID-19 and the flu are low, especially for children. This comes as some children's hospitals are already feeling the strain from an increase in another respiratory disease, walking pneumonia. Experts are nervous because respiratory diseases pose unique risks for children due to their smaller airways. Live in the studio, Olivia Logan, WUFT News.
It's going to get pretty cold for the next few days. We're seeing those highs only in the low 60s and upper 50s for the next 2 days. But for the rest of the week, we could be experiencing some 70s throughout our rest of our week. But those lows are staying pretty consistent in those lows. Right now, we're seeing them in the 40s and the 50s, which is, you know, a great welcoming to the month of December here in Florida.
Thanks for joining us for WUFT Midday. We're back here tomorrow for another edition. We now join Sports Scene with Steve Russell live on WRUF Radio and right here on WRUF-TV Channel 6.